Hey.
Stop.
And welcome.
No.
To
No.
The AT Banter
podcast.
I'm Steve.
I'm your host.
Come on, you can play that game.
This is the AT Banter podcast, a balanced and entertaining look at assistive technology, accessibility, and its importance in people's lives. Join Rob Minot, Ryan Fleury, and Steve Barclay as they banter with people around the world about anything and everything regarding assistive technology and the disability community. Now, on with the show.
But seriously, folks, hey, and welcome to another episode of AT Banter.
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 I am Rob Minot, and joining me today, as always, Mr. Ryan Fleury
Howdy.
and Mr. Steve Barclay.
Howdy doody.
It's Monday.
Yay.
Monday, it's the end of the month.
Short week.
Exciting. Auspicious.
Woo. Happy Easter, everybody.
What was that? Was that?
Something fell down upstairs.
That's Benji throwing his toys across the floor.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What does he play with? Chairs?
What the hell? He got a poltergeist.
He's got like a ceramic dinosaur type thing he picks up and hurls them.
That's probably a bad idea to give your dog a ceramic toy.
Well, it's a hard plastic toy. It's not ceramic, but yeah, he loves it.
Ceramic.
Something to chew on.
Yeah, clearly. All right. Well, hey, Ryan.
What?
We got a busy show today.
Do we?
Yeah.
Yeah, you kept piling the news on,
Yeah,
so it should be a long show.
We got a lot. Well, tell the fine folks what we're doing today.
Well, today is our monthly news show, so we have a bunch of news topics we're going to discuss and get our opinions on.
Mm-hmm. Because everybody loves our opinions.
That's right.
Except my wife.
But she's gone still, isn't
That's
she?
true. Yeah, she's still out of the country. So
you can be as lippy as you want.
I am in control of my own destiny for another 2 days.
Yeah, that's why you spent the entire weekend doing laundry.
Well, there's that. Hey, for the first time, I think in years, I'm caught up on laundry. I got one kid, one wife away. It's just me and Mike, and yeah, I caught up on laundry.
So now, does your laundry include folding, or do you just include it's just the washing, the drying, and then just piling it?
I have folded. I have matched socks.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the full. That's the full meal deal.
I've stripped the bed, done all the bedding.
Wow.
Yeah,
Man.
hardcore, man.
Productive weekend.
You betcha. Yeah, washed the floors.
Holy cow.
Yeah, vacuumed.
Excellent. Wow. Well,
He's trying to earn some brownie points.
Damn straight.
yeah, but he did it all drunk. So I mean, so it's probably she's gonna, like drunk vacuuming is much different than and making the bed drunk is very. Why is the pillowcase on the duvet?
I deny nothing. Hey, and it's an exciting day today too, because for the first time since the closure of Aroga Technologies, we once again have Jinglesticks.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. Hold on.
All right.
I might want to do it, but okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's right. We have, so for those people who may not be familiar with the Jinglestick, all the way back to our Christmas episode, I don't know what episode it was, but yeah, we handcrafted Jinglesticks for our musical number, and we found one.
Yeah, let me play you in here, okay?
Okay,
All
go.
right. There you go. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo. All right.
We can just go home now.
Jinglestick solo. Yeah.
So now we have Jinglesticks and a cowbell.
Wow.
That's right.
So it's double jeopardy.
There's no stopping us now.
There really isn't. The Guitar Dungeon, we should really turn this into a recording studio. We should really do that in our...
This is
It is a recording studio.
Well, yeah, but we record something other than the podcast, I guess it is what I'm saying.
I do.
All right, well, we should dive into things because we got a lot to talk about today. But first up, we got a voicemail.
We did?
No.
Yeah, we did. Well, it's kind of a voicemail. Somebody recorded a MP3 message and sent it to our email address, which is, of course, atbanterpodcast@gmail.com. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
So I guess what I'll do is I'll just play it for you guys, and then I want to get your guys' response.
Okay.
All right.
Hey guys, this is Beth, and I first want to say how much I enjoyed podcast 93. I always enjoy you guys' podcasts. And I am so excited about the Canute getting so close to actually being on the market. One of my mottos is yay for choice. Dave Williams said that a Braille display shows you, of course, one line of continuous Braille, and then you go to the next line, and that's continuous Braille. Not always. HumanWare's displays, that was true. I could never get it to do anything other than that. For example, I am going to start a new file here. I have a Braille Edge 40 by HIMS. I am going to write in grade 2, Mary had a little lamb, comma, next line. Its fleece was white as snow, comma, next line. And everywhere that Mary went, comma, the lamb was sure to go, period. New line, Braille is beautiful, exclamation, new line. We are having rain and maybe snow coming, period. Now, with HumanWare's displays, you would have seen a continuous line of Braille every single time. It would have been, you would have had the EDP sign to indicate where a new line was, but you wouldn't have actually seen blank space. I'm going to hit space L to go to the beginning of this, and I'm going to read, Mary had a little lamb, comma, and there's a bunch of blank space on the display. I could count how many characters could be placed on this line if I wanted to by counting the number of cursor routing keys above the blank part of this line. I'm not going to do that, but I could. So now I'm going to hit the advance button to go down. Its fleece was white as snow. Again, there's quite a bit of empty space. And I'd say in that case it's about half the line empty. For the first line about Mary had a little lamb, it was probably 3/4 of the line. Now to the third line, and everywhere that Mary went, and I had at least one error there, but I didn't correct it, there's about half an empty line. Hit the down advance button, the lamb was sure to go, about half the line. Then there's a whole empty line. Hit the down button again, Braille is beautiful, exclamation point, little over half the line empty. Hit the down advance bar again, empty line, and hit it one more time. We are having rain and maybe snow coming, and there's just a little bit of line left. So you really can get formatted Braille on the HIMS units. And that's why HIMS is my favorite. Because now, true, you cannot do equations on it, but you can see empty places. You can indent if you want to, and you'll see actual spaces. You won't see a sign, an indent sign. So I just wanted to show that to you guys. I think it's pretty cool. Keep up the great work. Bye.
Well, thanks. Now, what she's talking about, that's a function of the screen reader, not necessarily the Braille display itself, right?
Well, I don't know, because the Braille Edge does have a notepad built into it, right? So she's probably doing the note editing right on the Braille Edge, no screen reader involved.
She could potentially be doing that, yeah.
Because it has the Perkins keyboard. So when she does the new line, if there is no screen reader involved, she's just using the dedicated Braille display. And it's showing her the formatted Braille, the spaces, the indents, all that stuff. Whereas the humanware stuff, like she says, is just a continuous line of Braille after Braille after Braille. It doesn't show you that stuff.
Yeah.
But I also don't think the Braillians have notepads built in.
No, they don't.
So it's kind of not a true comparison, I guess, of Braille display.
Yeah, because I think the way that she describes the humanware display just showing continual text, I think you could have that same thing on the HIMS display as well, but it's just a setting in the screen reader.
Yeah, if you're using the screen reader. So
Yeah.
if your Braille Edge is connected to the PC and the screen reader is driving the Braille,
Yeah.
then anything that you're editing on the screen reader side in Word or Notepad or whatever is going to be reflected on the display. But again, if she's using just the display's note-taking ability, then there is no screen reader,
Gotcha.
right?
So let me ask you this, to bring it back to talking about the Canute again. How much of an impact do you guys see the Canute having on the Braille display, Braille note taker market?
Well, I personally, it's not a true Braille display, so you can't connect it to a PC and use, JAWS or System Access or anything with it.
Yet.
Right. It's an e-reader. So I think for people who are accessing e-books, EPUB books, and having access to the formatting of that book on a Canute is phenomenal. They're going to be able to see the indents and the line spacing and all that formatted text. Nothing else does that.
But no, I did notice on the Twitter feed for CSUN, I did notice the Canute was making a bit of a splash there. A lot of people were talking about it and looking at it. I do think I do get the sense that there's definitely some excitement about it.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But it's a different. But you're supposed. So I guess what you're saying is that it is a very different animal than a dedicated Braille display.
At this point, yep.
Well, so you say at this point. So do you feel like there's just a few bits of functionality that could be built into the Canute that could actually make it compete with a Braille display?
I think once they add a few more file formats, because I think Dave said they support BRF files at the moment.
That's right.
So if they support Word, Doc, DocX, RTF, TXT, HTML, and as Steve mentioned, the ability to connect it to a computer and use it as a Braille display. It's, I don't know, under $2,000 Canadian or US at this point. So it is one of the cheaper Braille display options it's the only full page Braille display option at this point, at that price point. So it could be a game changer.
Yeah, I don't think it's full page per se.
Right. Sorry, it's 9 lines.
Yeah, it's multi-line, but
right.
The downside to the Canute versus a conventional Braille display is the refresh speed of the of the Braille.
Right.
It doesn't refresh as quickly as a standard refreshable Braille display does, but for some people they're not going to mind that much, and they would like to have that computer connection, screen reader connection. So we'll see if they do it in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So thanks so much, Beth, for the voicemail. We really appreciate it. We always love hearing from the listeners. So anybody else wants to drop us a line like that, get their voice splattered all over the intranet, feel free to drop us a file. Let's talk CSUN for a minute. Hey, Steve. How is CSUN?
Well, there's that old Buddhist saying about the what is it? The destination is not the point; it's the journey.
That was your journey.
It was short, very very short.
Okay, tell us what happened.
Okay, so yeah, my flight got delayed. So I was on an Alaska flight, which I'd booked on points through my credit card. I was going from Vancouver to Seattle and then Seattle to San Diego. Unfortunately, the plane that was coming to get me in Vancouver from Seattle, I guess it just does a run back and forth, Seattle, Vancouver. It broke down in Seattle, and it got delayed and delayed and delayed to the point where I wasn't going to make my connection. So I called up Alaska and said, hey, I'm not going to make my connection. Can you put me on a later flight? They went, yes, absolutely, we can do that. And then they went, oh, you're checked in for this flight. We're going to have to uncheck you in for this flight, and then we'll make the change. You're going to have to check in again. It's like, okay. So they got all that switched away. I went online. I checked myself in for that second leg of the flight. And when it came time to board, they scanned my ticket. They looked confused. They scanned my ticket again. They continued to look confused. They tapped away on the computer and they went, "Oh, you're not checked in for this flight." It's like, well, but I'm here. Look, ticket. So apparently somehow I got checked out for the first leg that I was actually in the airport waiting for.
Right.
And I'd only rechecked myself in on the second leg. So they said, well, we can get you there tomorrow, which would have got me in for like 4:30 on Thursday. And I was scheduled to fly home at 2:30 on Friday. So there wasn't much point in doing it. So I just canceled it, which turned into a whole other fiasco because I booked on points. But that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I never made CSUN. I missed all the fun and frivolity.
Well, and it's funny. I mean, I was following the Twitter feed for quite a while. And to be honest, there wasn't that much coming out of there. There wasn't really any big news this year.
No, I was really surprised. I was waiting for something, and I really didn't see anything either.
Yeah, I saw a lot of talk about the Canute, as I mentioned. Ira got a lot of mentions.
Yeah.
A lot of people were excited about that, trying it out. But other than that, I didn't really see much. Certainly nothing. No big announcements coming out of CSUN, which I don't know. Is that unusual?
Yeah, usually there's a few product releases and a little bit of hype going on around new stuff. But yeah, this year seems to have been kind of quiet. It's like the industry is kind of moving away from the big releases it shows these days, and maybe it's just that they feel that there's too much getting released at the shows, and maybe they're not getting noticed as much as they might as if they did their own release on their own schedule.
Right.
I don't know, but. Yeah,
it could be too that there's more coming out. There are apps that are just coming out of nowhere all the time. So maybe they're just feeling like they're a little bit more strategic on when they're going to release product announcements, and they're not so fixed on what we have to release at CSUN. It's hard to say.
Yeah,
that's in Anaheim next year.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Disneyland.
Yep.
CSUN.
We should all go.
Yeah, we should.
Well, what'll be the bonus about that is it'll be much easier to get to because everybody flies direct to Anaheim.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No kidding. For sure. Huh. How long has it been in San Diego?
Oh, gosh. 10 years? Maybe. I don't know.
Where was it before that?
L.A.
Oh, yeah.
Right near the
that'd have been
LAX airport.
Well, there you go. Maybe we'll be there in our own AT Banter.
Banter?
AT Banter booth?
Say that 12 times. AT Banter booth.
There you go. Just have a mic and a mixer set up.
Yeah, we could do recording live from the floor of CSUN.
I'm not paying for a booth.
Come on.
Those booths
so
are
we can
expensive.
harass people going by.
Well, just think of the overall cost. The hotel's prices jump 600% for the 3 days you're there.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, just book on points. What could go wrong? All right, fine. All right. So that's out of the way. Let's get to some of these news articles. Now, these first couple that I want to talk about, they're not AT specific, but they're about, I think, things that sort of impact AT a little bit. And the first one is, did you guys hear about this Uber driverless car that ended up killing a pedestrian in Arizona last week?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So for those people who aren't familiar with it, what happened was Uber had a self-driving car that was occupied by a driver, but it was in autonomous mode, driving down a highway in the evening. There was a woman, a 49-year-old, who was crossing the street on a bike.
She was walking the bike across.
Or she was walking. That's right. Yeah. She was walking the bike across the street, and the car just hit her, killed her. They released the Dashcam footage last week, and which I don't know if you guys watched, but it was. I mean, you don't necessarily see the point of impact. You don't see that the camera cuts out, just as that, but you can clearly see her in the road, and you can see the car approaching.
Well, the main question I had regarding this whole story is, why wasn't this safety driver able to override the controls?
There was no time. There was literally.
What, he didn't see the person in the intersection?
Yeah, it was a she.
Or a she.
I guess this person just stepped out.
Oh, I see.
In front of the car at the last minute, and.
Yeah, but they're analyzing the data, and they're looking at the Dashcam footage, and it's come out that really the car had the time to respond to the person in the road. The sensors would have picked her up,
right?
It should have braked. It didn't react exactly. So the question is why, of course. So of course, Uber has suspended all their, their autonomous cars for the moment. I believe some of the other companies that are doing the same have done the same. I guess my question to you guys is, what do you think? Is this gonna severely impact the development of this technology? What's going on here?
Well, I think this is the second time it's happened to one of the Uber cars in a year.
Yeah, that's right. Wasn't there a Tesla car that crashed and ended up killing the occupant?
There's that one as well, but I think this is the second time that it's happened to one of the Uber cars.
Is that right? Okay.
And if indeed that is the second time in a year, they've got an awful lot of safe driving hours on the various cars that they've been running. I'd be curious to know how many regular Uber drivers there are who've been in accidents in that same time.
Sure.
I would suggest that although yes, this is a tragic event, for the most part, those cars are performing quite admirably. So will it be a bump in the road, so to speak? Sure. Obviously they want to find out exactly why that happened, why the car didn't respond. That's, they're going to have to figure that bit out. But I think once they do, they'll be right back to it.
Well, and I think, the only way they're going to get, real life testing is by putting them on real life roads with people, dogs, bikes, real life events going on around it. Unfortunately, these things will happen. How many times do we hear our own governments talking about distracted driving laws? Yeah. People behind the wheel are really, really bad.
And you bring up a good point. I mean, you look at the Dashcam footage, and I'm not sure that. I mean, she was going, I think they said 38 miles an hour. Yeah. So I don't know that even if there was somebody in control of that car, I don't know that accident would have been avoidable.
Yeah,
because it's dark. The road is not lit. It's not like you're able to see this woman crossing, from a distance. It really is just like a split second where the car just comes up on her. So I don't think that if the driver had been in control, I don't think the outcome would have been necessarily any different.
Well, and I think too, keep in mind, computers can react much faster than people can.
Exactly.
So, the chances are, if everything was working properly, it could have been avoided.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, the car would have seen her on the road, and I guess that's the big question is as to what was that point of failure? Where did things go wrong? Why didn't the car respond? So it will be interesting to see what the results of that are. But I mean, I don't know. I look at it, look at the infancy of flight. You know, how many plane crashes have there been over the years? And, you know, the result isn't, you know, you don't completely shut down air traffic or say that it's too dangerous and you know, we're not going to develop that technology. You go, you figure out what went wrong, you fix it, and then you move forward. So, you know, hopefully that's what we're looking for and not, you know, I think that people tend to demonize the idea of an autonomous car, and they're afraid of this technology in some ways.
My concern is hoping that Ford, GM, Toyota, all the manufacturers have some sort of protocol, because right now I don't think there's any standards. So can all these cars communicate with each other? If not, we're in for a world of hurt.
Actually, we're in a world of hurt if they all start communicating each other. Did you see that old 80s movie, Maximum Overdrive?
Yeah, that's true too.
We don't want them talking to each other. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Facebook.
Let's talk about Facebook.
So, according to Reuters, Reuters published an article over the weekend that, according to opinion polls that were published on Sunday in the U.S. and Germany, fewer than half of Americans trust Facebook to obey U.S. privacy laws. Mm-hmm. Germany's largest selling Sunday paper found that 60% of Germans fear that Facebook and other social networks are having a negative impact on democracy. So this whole Cambridge Analytica thing.
It's not just them now. There's also a company on the island, in Vancouver Island in Victoria, I think.
I did not hear
it was
this.
on the news last night that they believe some of their data was breached.
The flip side of this is that they've also determined that in the past 2 weeks, the average person's usage of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram hasn't really been severely impacted. Mm-hmm. So people may feel like this, but it seems to be that they're still using it.
There are big companies that are pulling their ads from Facebook, though. So financially, it could hurt them in the long run.
Well, their stock has taken a crap kicking for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Their stock plummeted after this. Now, I expect it's going to rebound.
Sure.
Because let's face it, Facebook is a hugely popular platform, and even though people are going to be concerned about their privacy, there's lessons being learned along with this. For starters, all of those little quizzes, it's like, hey, what's your wizard name? And you answer 10 questions. That gives your information to that app,
yes.
And the app developer gets your information. Every time you go and you sign up for one of those things, you're giving away that information. Yeah. I actually went on. There was an article that somebody posted on how to go in and check the apps that have access to your personal information on Facebook. So you can go into settings, you can go into app permissions, and you can look at the list of apps that you've given permission to have your personal information. And I was quite surprised to discover, because I've never actually gone in there, but I had like 40 apps that I had signed up for different things. Things like Runkeeper. It's an app that keeps track of your walking and jogging. That had my information, and it, again, I signed up for it, it just never occurred to me really that I'd be giving them personal information just by signing up for it. So, so definitely go into your app settings and have a look-see at the list of apps that you've allowed if you're on Facebook.
You can also download your data too, your data archive, which I actually did this morning.
Oh, did you?
I haven't looked at it all yet, but I downloaded mine just because I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm curious about mine too. I got to do that one of these days.
Now, I hadn't really seen an article that dove real deep into what these guys actually did and how this all worked. A lot of the articles that I saw would just say things like your data, and like it wasn't really talking about how exactly they were using the data or what data. And last night I watched something on CNN that kind of really broke it down for me. And
fake news.
And it is no, it's not fake news. And it is really insidious. Like, so from what I understand, and I may get some of this wrong, but so what happened was, so this guy develops this app, and it's a personality test, and it's basically a bunch of statements, and then you would rate that statement as strongly agree or strongly disagree, and all the sort of the gradients in between. And it'd be things like, I'm comfortable in a social setting, or I like to spend Fridays at home watching Netflix. It's a personality test to sort of see how extroverted or introverted you are, or, that sort of thing. And then it gave you like a percentage at the end where you're like, oh, you're 60% an introvert and things like that. So what it did is it took that data of the 300,000 people signed up for the app, I think it said, and did it. And then they took that data and then they compared it to all their likes, what they liked on Facebook, what groups they were in. And then they sort of built a matrix where it was kind of like, oh, you know what? People who are introverted are into whatever, folk music. Whereas people who are, extroverted are into whatever, people who are into this. And so they were able to sort of build a personality profile based on your likes and those people's likes and those people's pages that they were attached to. And then where it gets really shady is that, of course, then the app went in and scraped the data of all the people who did the quiz, scraped all their friends' data, all their likes and everything. So essentially they were able to build personality profiles just based on likes and groups of 50 million people.
Right. So these other friends,
didn't
even opt into this survey.
They didn't opt into the survey, but they may as well have done it.
Yeah.
Right. That's where it gets dicey. And then, of course, they were able to weaponize all that data and, use it, for example, they took credit for, the Trump campaign. And so that's, I think, the big epiphany for me is that, you kind of look at your Facebook profile and you go, well, there's nothing here. Like, what are they going to get? Like, who cares if I've liked Bruce Springsteen, like, big deal. Like, what are they going to do with that? But I guess for me, I'm realizing that there is something that they can do with that. Like there is a currency to all that information that we may not even realize. It may feel like innocuous information, but it's not.
Data's gold. Look at Google. Google's whole mandate is to get you to use their search, and every time you type in a string of text to search, all that data is gold.
Yeah,
and they can market to you. It's just like when you walk into a mall, walk into a store, the first thing they ask you is, do you have an email address? Everybody wants your data.
Yeah, absolutely. But not only that, like it's different, like marketing and, as speaking as, a guy in marketing, it's a bit of a double-edged sword for me because, the first rule of marketing is, the more information that you have about your target audience, the more effectively you can market to those people. But I don't like this stuff. This stuff takes it to an extreme. Like this is like your activity on the internet right now is sort of equatable to when you step outside your doorstep. If there was a drone with a camera that just followed you around all day, and recorded what stores you went into, where you went, all your conversations, like. It's almost like that, and that's creepy.
Well, and I think, coming back to the Facebook thing, like you said, it scraped not just your account, but your friends' accounts without them even knowing.
Yeah, and that's where, and yes, granted, Facebook closed that. That was a loophole. When did this happen? 2014, I think is when the app was published and all this happened. Yeah. When the data was acquired, and then they've since closed that loophole, and apparently they did ask. I don't know if they asked the app developer or Cambridge, but they asked somebody like, could you guys, please, just delete all that data that you just took. So it wasn't like, I don't know, I guess it wasn't that they did nothing. They didn't do enough, certainly. And I think it is a bit of a breach of privacy, but I guess it does remind you that
there's no privacy online.
There really isn't anymore.
No, there isn't.
But people are going to say, well, what do you expect? Should we have privacy online? I mean, that's that's what some people will counter with. But
I mean, privacy at this point is an illusion. There's no such thing anymore.
Your web browsers have been tracking you since what? IE3? 4?
Yeah. And it's not just online either.
No.
I mean, your Interact card.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every time you do a debit transaction, that data gets stored by the Interact people. Why are they doing that? Well, so they can advertise to you.
Absolutely.
And so they can sell your consumer information to people who want to advertise to you. Your Air Miles card. Do you collect Air Miles?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
same
sure.
thing.
If you've got a Save On card, or you've got any sort of discount grocery
Points
store,
cards.
all that data, all those points cards, they track all that data. All that data is going somewhere. It's sitting somewhere, and I think that's what sort of is uneasy to me, is that you not knowing where that data is going to be or who might be using it and for what purpose. That's more concerning than I'm worried about, somebody's going to, see what I'm doing online at any given point, although that does worry me. But
think about this. How would you like to meet one of the guys who's at the top of Google? Would you like to meet a guy who was, upper echelon of Google?
Sure.
Because I don't think I would.
Why?
Because before that meeting, that guy is going to be able to look at
you're right.
every damn thing about you. Everything. It's like, oh, I got this meeting with this Steve guy today. Let's go see what he's been Googling. Oh, Steve. Jeez.
Yeah, wow.
He's into sci-fi bulldogs, and oh my God, what is this?
That's some interesting porn tastes you got there, Steve.
That's right. Yeah, you'd meet him and he'd have that real smug look on his face. Yeah. So, and again, this isn't really AT related, but we often tout all the positive parts of social networks and how much it means to the disability community, and for how useful it is for building connections and community.
Well, we've also talked about how our generation are kind of still the only people using Facebook. The younger generation, they've all switched over to Snapchat, other social networks.
Yes,
which all do the same thing.
Yes and no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They do the same thing. But where would you go if everybody decided to close Facebook? Google Plus? No. Like, what's the alternative?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, there really is no alternative at the moment. That could change.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure there was a time where MySpace thought, you know what, we got this.
Yeah.
We got this. We are the king. Nothing's going to ever unseat us. Granted, Facebook's, been around for quite a while and has been well established for quite a while. So it's going to be hard for it to get knocked off. But I mean, I don't know that it necessarily deserves to be knocked off. I don't think that, on paper, it's a bad thing at all. I mean, again, we always talk about how all the positive effects that social networking has had for advocacy groups.
Well, they're saying though it was developed to, its main development was to basically give you the same type of dopamine effects, right? It's an addiction for people. The more likes you get, it triggers the same stimulant in the brain to give you that euphoric sensation,
sure.
Right? So, there's a lot of stuff going on with Facebook and other social media stuff over and above just, data breaches.
Yeah, well, and I guess that, exactly. I think that what Facebook needs, I think, is some radical revisions. I think they need to look at some of this stuff a little bit better. I mean, it would be nice, again, if, business always kind of ruins everything. We have something great. We have a way to bring people closer together and to build communities online, and then, marketers and businesses just find a way to ruin it for everybody. Because I think at its core, these are all great ideals. It's just that this data collection needs to be way more transparent. They need to be really clear on what they're asking people. And, as a marketer, that should be, a consideration. You shouldn't want, data that somebody hasn't expressly given you. if somebody wants to give you what their age is and what products they're interested in, that's one thing, man. That's great to be able to take that and use that to market better. But when you're doing these black ops where you're just scraping every piece of information that you can from people who don't even know that they're sharing that information, that's where it gets sketchy for me.
Agreed.
So it'll be interesting. I don't know. I mean, I know that hashtag delete Facebook has been trending on Twitter the last little bit.
Well, there's lawsuit against Facebook
I
right
don't know.
now.
I have my doubts as to if Facebook is just too entrenched in people's day-to-day lives to really make an impact. But what hopefully will happen is maybe their stock dropping and maybe getting some bad press will make them realize that they need to be way more transparent with what data is being shared.
I'm going to call it now. Next social network, it's going to be on Amazon. You're going to be able to share your stuff with shoppers. You're going to be able to communicate with your stores. It's going to be a whole network of people sharing information.
We'll check back this time next year and see if you're right. You have anything you want to say to 2019, Ryan?
Wow, you're looking gray.
That's from working with me.
Speaking of working with you,
what?
I was going to ask you guys this. Since Aroga went out of business, I've lost almost 13 pounds.
How?
And gone, well, I'm not eating out every day.
Oh, good point.
And gone from like a size 40 jeans, yes, I said that online, down to a 36. So how fat was I?
Well,
I must have been huge.
I don't want to say huge.
I don't want to say you were fat, but when you laid around the office, you laid around the office.
I was a little shocked. A little shocked when I stepped on the scale and went, wow, in a year, what a change.
Huh, that's interesting. So that's just, no Subway
fries,
every day.
no onion rings, no Subway.
No, you know what it was? No Burger King
Burger
poutine.
Kings, yeah. None of that eating out every day.
Burger King poutine.
I know, I kind of miss it. It's true.
All right. Skip breakfast on Thursday. It's Whopper Thursday.
There you go.
Whopper poutine.
All right. Okay, let's dive into some actual AT news.
We have actual AT news?
Yeah, we do.
No kidding.
Bum-ba-da-bum-bum. New product announcement from AT Banter.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, it's an exclusive.
Yeah, that's right. You heard it here first.
And if you did, that's because you weren't online.
Maybe second. News article links. Yeah, actually, we're looking it up on the Blind Bargains website.
Yeah,
so
that's where I saw it. So that's where I grabbed the link.
You didn't hear it here first. You heard it there first.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
from
shout out to
Tangela Mahari.
Don't know, but shout out to Blind Bargains, fellow podcasters. They were at AT Banter. They were at CSUN.
Were they?
Somebody made it. Thank God.
Okay, take it away, Steve. What do they have to say?
Well, the title of the article on Blind Bargains is HIMS releases a new, smaller version of Braille Sense Polaris Notetaker special pre-order price.
Ooh.
Yeah. So yeah, 20 cell, Braille keyboard. It's got a micro HDMI port, a USB-C port for charging as well as data transmission, and a 13 megapixel autofocus camera sensor for high quality photos.
Really?
64 gigs of internal storage. Supports micro SD cards for further expansion. Supports Wi-Fi 802.11 AC dual band, Bluetooth 4.2. Yeah. So, and then of course it's got all the stuff that you would expect on a Polaris.
Which is an Android device running Google services.
Exactamundo. So yeah.
So now
cool little device.
Now is that pretty common for them to just sort of release a sort of a miniature version of an existing note taker? Have they done that before?
Well, yeah, they had the U2 Mini.
Okay, right, of course.
As well. So yeah, they've always had they're big and they're small.
So now is that mainly to address price point, or is it a portability thing?
It's probably a bit of both. I mean, the smaller units are much more transportable for sure. easy to stick in a purse or a pocket, and a lot easier than the bigger 32 cell versions for sure. So yeah, and paying for 12 less cells,
Right.
You're saving yourself probably $1,200 right there. So
Ouch. Now, what has your experiences been with the Polaris? Have you guys liked them?
I haven't spent a lot of time. I've got one as a demo unit. It's a really nice device. I really appreciate the design of it. It's if you put it side by side with the HumanWare
Braille Note
Braille Note Touch, it's a fair bit smaller and lighter than the Braille Note Touch. I think there would probably be some back and forth on features that we could get into if we wanted to. There's certain things that I think the Touch is maybe a little ahead on, particularly when it comes to things like math for school. But I do like the design of it quite a bit. They're I think one generation newer on the Android system, but they're still an older, out of date Android system. I don't know. We'll have to see how it shakes out.
Now, does the article mention when it's coming out? Because you mentioned a pre-order. I'm assuming that it's not actually available.
Yeah, I don't think it's actually released yet. I don't know that it said in the article. According to the article, they say they've just released a smaller version of it, so maybe it is. The article does say that the Mini will normally be sold for $41.95 US. Right now, it is on sale for $3,995 US.
Zoinks.
It's just so expensive.
Yeah, pricey. But as I have been saying for years and years, the note taker market is dead. Nobody's ever going to make another note taker. Nobody's ever going to buy another note taker. I will continue to be wrong about this for years to come, I'm sure.
Well, I think until there's a new Braille technology that changes the game, this isn't going to change.
Yeah.
There is no better Braille at this point.
Knut.
But again, it's slower.
Oh, sorry, I was sneezing.
Sorry, let
there.
me pass you a tissue there, Rob.
Yeah, no. You know what? The other thing that go back to CSUN, but did you guys see anything about the Orbit reader?
No.
Were they even there?
I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't
think
see
they were
anything.
supposed to be there,
But yeah, that strikes me as a bit weird too.
well, it's really strange because I think it's APH in the U.S. has been selling the Orbit, and I reached out to the CNIB here in Canada and asked them if they were selling it yet, and they said no because there was an issue with it, but they wouldn't tell me what the issue is, and they couldn't give me a time frame, which is really frustrating because we've had people who have put deposits on the Orbit for 2 years now.
Yeah.
We're still waiting here in Canada. I've been tempted just to order one from the U.S. I'm sure others already have, but I'd like to get my hands on one and actually see it and try it, play with it. So I don't know what the issue is.
It's weird. It's weird.
It's a strange situation.
Yeah, they probably have to adjust the speech for the Canadian market, so it says A after everything.
Maybe.
Maybe.
All right, moving on. Let's talk a little bit about
Sex, baby.
I was just thinking
Stop.
the same thing.
Okay, I need to stop. Okay, mental note to myself: stop saying. Let's talk about blank, because that's just going to go through you guys' head
Every time. Yeah.
Child of the '80s, I tell you. The pinnacle of music.
It was.
What was it?
There's no better time.
Who was that? That was I don't even remember.
Hey, who sang "Let's Talk About Sex"?
Let's Talk About Sex was recorded by Salt and Peppa.
There you go.
Oh God, who could forget Salt and Peppa? God. Tell her to
Here
play
we
it.
go.
Now I want to hear a couple bars. Let's
Ryan's
do it.
got the giggles.
Hey, play "Let's Talk About Sex" by Salt and Peppa.
Let's Talk About Sex by Salt and Peppa. Sure. Playing on Spotify.
Is it Pepper or Peppa? I don't even know.
It's Pepper.
Spinderella cut it up one time.
Shut up.
Before we get
that was
sued.
terrible. That's worse than I remembered. I think I only remember the chorus clearly, but Salt and Peppa, where are you now? Maybe they're listening.
Maybe.
I have to edit all that out so we don't get copyright strikes.
I'll leave it in.
Well, we're just going to get copyright strikes.
No, I think
more
it's,
email.
I think it's short enough that
I think you get 15 seconds.
All right, good.
We're
all right,
okay.
there you go.
Yeah. If not, we'll get into cease and desist.
Okay, where were we?
We got fan mail from Salt and Pepper.
That's right. Maybe we can work that. Let's talk about AT.
They sent us a letter. It says, "Don't tell us to shut up."
That's right.
All right. Next article is titled "Graduate Student Creating a Smartphone App for Deafblind Users." This is interesting. We've got a graduate student from IUPUI, which I have no clue where that is. I think I might be in India.
International University of
Yeah,
Penal Implants.
You don't know.
No, penal
Neither do
upper
I.
implants. There we
I
go.
I don't think this says.
Yeah, I didn't. I just saw the headline and thought it was cool. So
So let's say India.
What's
If
the
we're
app do?
wrong. Well, the app is interesting. What it does is it turns letters into digital braille on the screen, and you use the app in conjunction with a glove that features color-coded sensors, making it feel like the reader is actually reading raised braille. So, it's not an app on its own. It's you need to use it, I guess, with the glove. But it's obviously for deaf blind who can, essentially access digital content.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of a throwback to almost the Opticon technology, only instead of just being raised dots for the shapes of letters, it's actually producing braille. Interesting.
Yeah, that's right. There's a quote from the developer that says, "In the future, everything is going to get digitized. To print one page of braille is 6 times the cost to print on paper, so it's pretty expensive. So let's bring them into the digital world." So, that it does raise an interesting point. If
6 of them.
I haven't had a braille joke in a long time.
Yeah, indeed.
Damn, boom. Where was it? You derailed me.
You're raising interesting points.
I was raising interesting points. Yes, 6 of them. Is that a potential, technology that could actually replace actual physical braille? If we can make, say, a glove or something that recreates that, reading braille off a piece of paper, is that something that you could see eventually replacing
No.
printed braille? No. Why do you say that?
Because if you're running your fingers over top of a word and it's producing it instantly into braille, odds are it's a letter-by-letter translation and not contracted braille.
Okay,
So I think most people are still going to want contracted braille.
I see.
But they could throw, some sort of translation in there and make it contracted braille. There's lots of translation,
Then it
different codes.
Then it wouldn't be instant.
Touche.
You'd have to scan an entire word before it would be able to translate that word and
Right.
show it on the glove for you. So, yeah, I don't see it. You never know.
You never know. I mean, she obviously the prototypes she's still working on it. The app's not, complete. In fact, it doesn't even say here what the name of the app is, just that it's being worked on. But it's interesting. It brings out, this is why I feel like apps and independent development is so driving the industry forward, because you have all kinds of people who are working on all kinds of different things, and you just never know when something is going to stick to the wall. I mean, this may be something that turns out just isn't going to work for whatever reason, but then again, it might. So, it's an exciting time because there's just so many ideas floating around out there, and with apps, anybody can work on them.
Yep, true enough.
So,
what else you got, Rob?
well, let's talk about
Sex, baby. Sorry, it was my turn.
Yeah. What else? Whoa. Oh, hey, here's something that, I don't know, might seem innocuous to some, but you know what? It's a step forward. Apple has proposed adding disability inclusive emojis to the Unicode consortium.
That was just weird.
You don't like this?
No, I didn't say I don't like it. I just think, why do we need more emojis?
That's a good question.
Well, okay. Well, let me read you a little bit, and maybe this will change your mind, sir. So, emojis of people using wheelchairs, service dogs, hearing aids, and more could be coming to your iPhone. On last Friday, Apple submitted a proposal to the Unicode Consortium, the nonprofit that reviews requests for new emojis. Now, who even knew that existed? I want to sit on that. I want to
You want to sit on the emoji panel?
No, well, yeah, not literally, but I think that would be amazing. How do you get? I don't know. How do you get there? What do I need to have on my resume to get on the council that decides about new emojis?
Well, clearly not lettering.
Anyways, I digress. The current selection of emoji provides a wide array of representations of people, activities, and objects meaningful to the general public, but very few speak to the life experiences of those with disability, Apple states in its proposal. At Apple, we believe that technology should be accessible to everyone and should provide an experience that serves individual needs. Adding emoji emblematic to users' life experiences helps foster a diverse culture that is inclusive of disability. That's a great statement right there. But what do you guys think?
Well, it sounded a lot like bullshit to me.
Okay. Clearly
I don't know. I just...
Well, look, you guys are curmudgeons.
No, I just...
Okay,
go. As a blind person,
Yeah.
if I bring up the emoji button, there's how many emojis are there? So I'm gonna have
There's a
to
lot.
flip.
Well, that's why you have to get to know the Unicode equivalent for it.
Yeah, that's
okay,
right.
so the
It'd be like
wheelchair is going to be capital I, lower I, left brace, question mark, exclamation point L.
Correct. Correct. Yes. So there you go.
I'm back to flip. I don't know. I just don't see why we need more emojis.
Here's the thing, Ryan. I don't think it's about necessarily the emoji. It's about the idea behind it. It's about inclusivity. It's about inclusivity. It's about including people with disabilities into the general conversation about anything. So why shouldn't there be? I mean, there already is, the wheelchair symbol is in the Unicode consortium. There is an emoticon or an emoji for that. They're just adding a few more.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty.
Don't care.
I don't use them, so very rarely, if ever.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
I know how to do a smiley face. So.
Is there a white cane emoji?
You know what? Hold on. Let me.
Because I don't have a service dog.
I'll give you the list of them. Okay. The deaf and hard of hearing emojis will include a man and woman making the sign for deaf. A third will show an ear.
Wait. What's the sign for deaf?
I don't know this.
Basically,
pointing at your ear.
Pointing at your ear.
Okay.
The blind and low vision emojis include a man and a woman using a white cane.
All right.
And a guide dog with a harness.
All right. So that just means I can tell more people I'm blind.
That's right. And for physical disabilities, they wanted to use people using wheelchairs and electric chairs, as well as images of a prosthetic arm and leg. For hidden disabilities, they propose a service dog with a vest, because service dogs are used for various disabilities and disorders such as epilepsy and PTSD. Yes, PTSD. So there you go. That's their proposition for new emojis. I say sure, why not? Ryan and Steve, they don't really care.
Don't care.
Because I don't know, we're also not the emoji generation.
No, we're not the emoji generation. That's true.
Are we the Pepsi generation?
I guess so.
I prefer Coke, but okay.
Have you seen? There's a Coke Pepsi documentary on Netflix.
Is there? What's it called?
I think it's called the Cola Wars.
It should be called "It All Tastes Like Malted Battery Acid."
Have you seen your spoon?
Yeah, really. All right, moving along. Microsoft adding new accessibility improvements in Windows 10.
Yay.
Now, we talked a little bit about this last week, but I thought maybe we'd dive a little bit deeper into it to talk a little bit about. And I've got a question for you guys because I want to hear your opinion. But before I get to that, let's just go through the list of what Microsoft is saying they're going to improve in the coming year in Windows 10. So the first thing is improvements coming to narrator. They're saying it's going to be faster and more accurate in some of the core Windows apps and works better with Windows 10 Microsoft Edge browser, which we talked a little bit about last week. They are also making it easier to navigate Windows with eye control, and they're introducing improvements to making some of the more important controls like accessing the start menu a lot faster by just using your eye gaze. Lastly, they also say that they are working to bring text suggestions to hardware keyboards in Windows 10, which will show automatic word suggestions for those with a hardware keyboard. Support for text suggestions with hardware keyboards will first arrive for English, and the company hopes to bring support for multiple languages in the future. So, good for learning disabilities and such. That sort of ties into a little bit about...
Good for anybody who's a slow typist, really.
Sure.
Yeah.
So those are the big ones. So what I wanted to ask you guys is this. Do you see a time when the built-in screen readers for both Windows, for iOS, for Android, do you see a time when they may be a legitimate replacement for screen readers?
No.
And never. You don't ever see that being able to happen?
No.
Not because they seem to be they seem to be constantly improving
within their own operating system.
Yeah, and I think the big difference between a built-in screen reader and a commercial screen reader is customizability. Until the built-in screen readers offer things like a scripting language, I don't see them taking over from the commercial screen readers because people have specific custom applications that they need to access in work situations, and the only way to do that oftentimes is to have scripts written for it. So there's always going to be a place, I think, for the commercial screen reader until such point that the built-in ones offer features like that, and I just don't see them stepping up to that plate.
Yeah, and they would never do that.
They could never support that.
They'll never release a scripting language that would allow you to customize your anything in your operating system.
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of caught my eye too, is they're having better support for Edge, their own browser, which it's still not fully supported with Narrator, which is their own screen reader.
Yeah.
And it's been 2 years of development so far for NVDA and Freedom Scientific to get JAWS to the point where they're at now, which still isn't fully supported. So, the other thing Microsoft has done is they're releasing a new version of Windows called S Mode. So you'll be able to get Windows Professional, and it has a switch built in that you can switch to S Mode, which basically locks the system down so you can only install basically Microsoft apps or approved apps. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but, you're not going to be able to install stuff like Chrome or maybe some of the different third-party programs you need to use on a regular basis. So, we're facing an uphill battle. I applaud Microsoft for all the accessibility efforts they're putting into their programs, but at the same time, I think they're causing more work for the other screen reader in the industry to maintain compatibility and support. So
Interesting.
it's kind of a catch-22. Every time they reinvent themselves, the VFOs, the NVDAs, the Ceratechs have to go back and, do what they can to be compatible. And, they all say they're talking to each other all the time. But, as I mentioned last week, there's a new version of Windows coming out in April sometime, and their screen readers have to come up with an update to support whatever new features are going to be included. So it's always a battle to stay up to date.
Yeah, it's a moving target.
It really is.
Interesting.
So I applaud them. I really do. Microsoft has done a lot of work in accessibility.
Yep.
They're at CSUN and
Yeah.
they're flouting all the work they're doing.
And granted, they are doing a lot of really great stuff. So
The one thing I was going to add about Microsoft as well that I read in that article is finally we'll have access to safe mode. Now, I don't know how many times in the past, I guess because of my computer tinkering and registry edits and stuff like that, I've needed to get into safe mode. But JAWS doesn't work in safe mode. NVDA, I'm not sure of. I saw that there's a script or a utility you can get to make it work, but I don't think it does by default. I don't believe System Access does. So at least having narrator would give me the option to go into safe mode and actually maybe recover my PC if I needed to.
Yeah.
So good on them.
yeah, you could also stop dicking around with your computer. I mean,
That's no fun.
that is an option. Just saying.
No.
Yeah, that's cool. So I guess it'll be interesting to see what when these changes occur.
What I'd like to see is a blog post of somebody who has actually tried using narrator for 30 days as their go-to screen reader.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
I think that's a great blog idea. Ryan, do it. Do it, and I'll write up the blog post. It'll be a good blog. I'm serious.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, so you want somebody else to take the 30-day narrator challenge, but
That's right.
you're not going to do it.
All right. Well, let's wait till the next version of Windows comes out next month, so the next few weeks.
How about we do a 30-hour?
There you go.
30 hour.
30 days might be a little
See if you
long.
can do it. See if you can do it for 30 hours.
Yeah, I think that's probably
maybe,
a good
yeah.
enough.
A day with narrator.
Or just do 2 days or something.
Yeah.
48 hours. 48 hours with narrator. And
There
we'll
you
write it up.
Okay.
All right.
But not until the new version comes out.
Okay, fine. Wait till the new version comes
Then I'll
out.
have the new features.
All right, Mr. New Features.
What else you got, Rob?
Okay, one more. Last article. It's about our good friends at IRA, who, like I said, they were all over CSUN, just all over it. I don't know how many articles I read about people using it and just loving
Oh,
it.
more and more people are using IRA, and they've got it. I don't know what your news article is, but they have a new product that they are releasing shortly too, the next couple months.
Yeah, this might be this might mention it, or this might be it. I'm not sure.
It's part of it, I think.
Yeah, are you talking about the new glasses?
The Horizon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is partly to do with it, but no. The article's AT&T collaborates with IRA to develop new AI-powered prescription medication reader. So this is the announcement. It came out. This announcement was from earlier in the month, but AT&T and IRA are developing and testing a solution designed to help people who are blind or have low vision better manage their prescription medication. The companies are working through the AT&T Foundry to develop the solution. So it looks like basically what this is it uses the next generation of IRA glasses are going to have AI built into them, which they're calling Hey Chloe. Have you heard about this, Ryan?
No.
Hey Chloe, it looks like it's going to be their own version of a digital assistant. Now, using what this is going to be able to do is that using this built-in AI, somebody will be able to look at their prescription medication, say, "Hey Chloe, what am I looking at?" or whatever, and I'm assuming the glasses will be able to OCR the label and actually tell them what they're looking at. So it'll be able to read their prescription labels to them.
That'd be neato and gnarly.
That'll be interesting because of the curvature of bottles. It'll be interesting to see how accurate it actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Let me just read what they say. They say IRA's medication reader will be available for use in conjunction with the IRA Horizon smart glasses, IRA's next generation wearable using voice-first technology. Available in May, IRA Horizon smart glasses have built-in Hey Chloe functionality and will come paired with an IRA dedicated smartphone powered by AT&T, unlocking IRA's technology for the 58% of U.S. seniors who do not currently own a smartphone. Horizon will provide an integrated, connected solution that enables people who are blind or have low vision to take advantage of the IRA service regardless of whether they already own a smartphone. Now, actually, that's the real interesting part of it, I think, the article. I mean, I think the prescription reader is neat. It's a great idea, and it's a great function of those glasses. But I guess what I want to talk about is this next generation of glasses, because I had not heard about this.
Well, I listened to Jonathan Moson's radio show on Mushroom FM and his Blindside podcast, and he raved and ranted about Ira on his show yesterday. But supposedly they have a much wider field of view. Wider field of view. And I'm not sure what that field of view is. But they've done a lot of research and found that, the market for seniors is huge that don't have smartphones, which prompted, this product, the Horizon, coming out with the Samsung phone. But also the veterans associations, the rehab centers in the U.S., are probably going to adopt all this technology. Ira is game-changing for seniors or people who need that assistance in their homes. Not even just in their homes, but, I could actually use Ira, and they would guide me out to the garbage can out in a parking lot, and I'd know the difference between which one's the recycling and which is the dumpster,
Now, are you talking about using the
glasses?
But you're talking about using the built-in AI in the next gen, or are you talking about
the live agent?
You're talking about the live agent. Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, and I think if it was me, I think that every single person you could benefit from having a subscription, even if it's the base subscription of I think you get 100 minutes for
$80 a month.
80, yeah, US, I'm assuming, yeah. Just to fill in those gaps, just for those times when you might need it. I mean, I don't see it as, it's by no means a complete solution, because it would just, unless you have the money to blow. But I mean, if you have the broadband, you have the data, you can afford, whatever the unlimited number of minutes a month plan, which is, I think it's something like $300 a month, I think, for unlimited minutes. I mean, if you have the means for all that, great. But otherwise, I think that it's a good solution for people who come up against those things on a day-to-day basis that they need assistance for.
Well, even if you've got O&M skills and you're traveling on your own and you want to bring up a live agent to guide you through an airport, can you get me to the front desk? Can you get me to security? They'll walk you there. They'll guide you there, all virtually.
Sure. But I think that it seems to me that it's a last resort method. I mean, I think that it's never going to replace O&M. It's never going to replace. I for me, the way I see all this is that stuff like beacon technology, O&M, GPS apps, all those should all work, and IRA, all those will work together to eventually give visually impaired people a doorstep to doorstep solution to be able to just navigate independently and just be able to sort of, do anything that somebody who's not visually impaired can do.
One example Jonathan gave, and, shout out to Jonathan, but when he was at CSUN, he got there early because he had to meet with a couple of guys, and using Ira, he made his way to the conference room. The door was locked. So yeah, he could have used his cane and, banged around to see if he could get somebody's attention to come and help him. But he brought up Ira, the app he had on his phone, because he didn't have the glasses. And he scanned around, and to his left was a desk with somebody behind it, who the agent told him, okay, there's a desk to your left with a man behind it. And, without that assistance, Jonathan wouldn't have known that there was actually somebody there unless he made himself known to, unlock the door for him and let him in. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that Ira can do for you that your cane and your dog will miss all the time.
Yeah.
So it's a game changer. It's an enabler.
Yeah, it's a very cool service.
It really is. I also heard a report, I think a couple months ago, that it actually will work with Rogers here in Canada. So there's some small pockets in Canada that it's working in as well.
But I want to go back to talk a little bit about this built-in AI that's coming in this next generation, because I feel like that we haven't really talked about, But I feel like that can be a real important component of this as well. Because if the glasses are able to sort things out without actually having to contact an agent, that's pretty major too, I think.
Yeah.
But it depends on how well it works.
Yeah, well, you look at what Microsoft did with seeing AI. They've got their short text, they've got color recognition, they've got face identification, they've got all these new channels that you can access, handwriting recognition, and they kind of changed the face of apps on iOS for accessibility for us who are blind, low vision, just to have that quick information. AI is still in its infancy.
Yeah.
And so, depending on how it's released, what its features are, it could really, change the way we interface with the items around us.
Until the AI turns evil, and then we all know how that ends up.
Yep.
Well, that's the concern, right? Where do you draw the line? Where do we stop AI?
Killer robots.
Yeah, killer robots.
I think that's where.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else to talk about that? Anything else you guys want to mention about Ira?
Nope.
No, I actually, I think I should try and find somebody who is using Ira on a regular basis and get them on the show.
I would love to. We should definitely reach out to somebody, and we did talk to.
Eric Manser.
Yeah, that's right. We talked to Eric Manser about his experiences with it, running a marathon, and that was fairly early on. So it'd be interesting to revisit those guys and who knows, maybe our good buddy Greg Stilson would talk to us about it.
I did see an article the other day of our chef. What's her name?
Christine Ha.
Christine Ha. She's been using it.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
a lot of high profile, blind users have been talking about it. Jonathan Mosin, Christine Ha. And like I said, we had a report last week there about the airports that have started pilot program to offer free minutes to people who are within the airport. So, it's really gaining some traction, it seems. So, wearables, man, it's where it's at. It's the new orange.
All right.
Okay, that's it.
That's it.
That is it.
That's the whole thing?
I think so.
Everything? We've done all the articles?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well.
Good day,
Good segue.
All right.
All right. Anything else? And do we miss anything? Anything else that anyone else wants to talk about? Hey, Ryan.
Rob.
Where can people find us?
As usual, at atbanter.com.
They can also drop us an email or a voicemail, atbanterpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
And you can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. We are out there.
So is all our information.
Yes, indeed. Help us build a profile.
That's right. I'd hate to see my personality profile, actually. I wonder if I was one of the 30 million, 50 million.
Who knows?
I wonder. I should really. Ryan, you have to send me the link to where you can download it.
I'll just send you the article I found.
Data.
Yeah.
I'll probably be hiding under a rock after I look at it. Where were we? Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Where can people find Canadian Assistive Technology?
Well, Canadian Assistive Technology is online at www.canasstech.com. You can also email me at steve@canasstech.com for all of your assistive technology needs.
What about Mr. Rick Chan?
Well, Mr. Rick Chant, the man who repairs all kinds of assistive technology, is Rick can be found at chaostechnicalservices.com. That's CHAOS for chaos. And he can be emailed at chaostech@shaw.ca.
And what's he do there?
He repairs things.
Okay, excellent.
All kinds of assistive technology thingies.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for hanging with us for another episode. Don't forget, if you like the podcast, don't forget to give us a like on iTunes. It helps us out. Otherwise, I think that's going to do it for us. So we're going to see you next week. But also, I've been Rob Minot.
And I've been Steve Barclay.
And I've been Ryan Fleury.
And we will see everybody next week.
Bye. This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions across Canada. Find us online at www.canastech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com. Or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. For all your assistive technology servicing needs, call Chaos Technical Services at 778-847-6840 or find them online at chaostechnicalservices.com. Music provided by bensound.com.